What's going on, everybody? Poem here with Late Night Gaming. I'm with Mcbober and Woo, and just want to shout out Woo real quick for joining the Late Night Gaming team officially. He's going to be on our stream regularly. Shout out to Woo.
Hey, shouting.
All right, so we're going to be going through the Scarlet Witch. What are we calling it? The hero pack. Okay, so we'll look at the hero, her kit, and the obligation cards included in the hero pack. And we'll read through the cards and just give our commentary on them, and just deck building kind of things. We have ideas we might come up with, or power levels, that kind of thing, combos. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. So we've got Wanda Maximoff, Alter Ego here with 3 recovery, Mystic, keyword, superpowered siblings. Action, discard 2 cards from your hand, draw 2, draw 3 instead if Petra Maximoff is in play. That's once per round. And then we've got her hero form, Avenger Mystic, Chaos Control Interrupt. When boost icons on an encounter card would be counted, discard the top card of the encounter deck and count the number of boost icons on that card instead. Okay. So thoughts on Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. Let's talk about the alter ego form first.
Don't forget health in hand, right?
Okay, so health in hand. What am I seeing here? Pretty standard 6'5", 10 HP. So she's just got the 1 attack as the one little kind of quirky factor that maybe we can talk about here in a second. All right, alter ego form first. What do you guys think?
Well, she's got the same power as Quicksilver. So if you have them both in play, you can do this the first round of the game. So that's pretty cool if you're playing a 2-player game. Otherwise, you got to get the ally in play. It's pretty similar. The same thing Quicksilver's got going on.
Yeah, it's a strong effect kind of regardless. Like card selection strong. Gets you deeper into your deck.
Right, so that early game trying to find certain cards you need kind of deal. I think, and there's definitely a card in her deck that you kind of want to find early, so there's some synergy there, and we'll talk about that card in a second.
But
yeah, it's like a mini mulligan.
What I see is Mystic, which lets her play Sorcerer Supreme. So only the second character in the game now that can play that card.
Okay, so that's can you talk about Sorcerer Supreme real quick?
Yeah, it gives you +1 hand size when you're in hero form, so it's part of what makes Doctor Strange nuttier than he already would be without it, and it will be an auto include in Scarlet Witch.
So that's Sorcerer Supreme here, +1 hand size, and it only costs 2. So that's a pretty powerful card, and it really helps. Yeah, like you said, make Doctor Strange. Puts him on as if he's not already busted. He's got this card too, but now she can run that. That's definitely a consideration.
It removes one of the major reasons you ever want to go into alter ego, which is more cards and just stay in hero form.
I do feel like she has more incentive to go to alter ego than Doctor Strange does, though. And we'll get to some of the cards in her kit of why that would be the case.
Is this Sorcerer Supreme? Does it care about that? Oh yeah, it's only +1 hand size while in hero form. Okay, so that's something to consider.
So assuming you're flipping every round to get max value, that's really like your Sorcerer Supreme is giving you 1 card every other round.
Yeah, it's like a
nuts, but
it's like a mini mansion or something.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the cards? What about the 1 attack that jumps out as to me here as something that's a little bit awkward? So is that a major drawback?
I don't think so. I think 2 thwart is much more impactful than 2 attack is. So now obviously there are some that have 2 of each, but I think with 2 thwart you don't need to worry too much about her base attack. You can just use it as a thwarting.
What do you think about the Chaos Control Interrupt, the ability of that?
I think it's good. It's free to use. If you get like a 2 or 3 pip, you can like re-roll it. It's like nothing game breaking, but it's not really costing you anything. You get all the information before you have to choose if you want to do it. So
I think too it interacts with some of her cards that care about the pips on, like you discard an encounter card and then count the pips. So it can be used for those as well.
Roger that. All right, I think we're ready to move on to her kit. So we've got Quicksilver, Petra Maximov. He's a 4-cost, 4 health, 1 thwart, 2 attack. He's got an action ready Quicksilver once per phase. Thoughts on the Quicksilver ally?
He seems like he'd be good to Voltron because he gets the free ready and he's got 4 health. But other than that, he seems a little underwhelming. He's not bad. He's just not great.
I actually think he's pretty bad, personally. I mean, I think his use is going to be play him, hit something for 4, and then just have it sit and play so that it boosts Scarlet Witch's ability.
Right.
I don't know, like 2 attack. We'll get to it later because there's a card in her Justice set. It's the exact same card except flips the thwart and attack, and I just think that one is like substantially better than this is.
I think so. One thing to consider is like the card we're going to talk about here in a second that lets her play a card from her hand for free, basically with a little bit of a payment, but it's minimal. But it's not a resource cost. So basically, high costed cards in her kit I think are good. So when you draw this, you could potentially have a big card in your hand to be able to put down. Okay.
I would say the art on that card looks weird. Like his arms look super long compared to the rest of him.
Yeah, got it. Sometimes you got to call out the art. And yeah, it does look a little awkward there.
There's like a weird perspective thing going on. I'm not sure what it is, but like his hand looks substantially bigger than his foot. That's just strange.
Yeah. He does look kind of like a gorilla.
Yeah, he's got like a weird gorilla looking thing going on.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a 1-cost support here, Agatha Harkness, Persona, Alter Ego, Action, Exhaust. Agatha Harkness, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of those cards to your hand, and place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Don't let your anger get the best of you, Wanda. Thoughts on Agatha Harkness?
So this effect is obviously super good to basically pick 1 of 3 cards out the top of your deck and just get it. I think this, when I was saying you have more incentive to go to Alter Ego form with Wanda, this is what I'm talking about. Doctor Strange doesn't really have anything that good to do in Alter Ego form, so I think Sorcerer Supreme is better for him because he wants to stay in hero form all the time. Whereas this effect is so strong, you're going to want to flip every turn.
Well, I didn't say it was just as good in her deck as it is in Doctor Strange. I merely said it was an auto-include, and I still stand by that.
I'm not so sure, but I mean, I wouldn't fault you for putting it in.
You wouldn't fault me. All right, fair enough. Agatha, good.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty strong card.
Like, how would you compare it to like Steve's Apartment, which is draw 1, heal 1? Except this is
the kind of thing you see it, you have to play it. Like, it doesn't matter what else you drew, I guess. Like, this has to go down pretty much.
It's draw 1 card of your choice. It's
Ponder. If anyone here has played Magic.
All right, so we've got another permanent here in her deck. There's 3 of them, interestingly. So Magic Shield, 1-cost upgrade spell. Hero Interrupt. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard Magic Shield. Prevent 3 of that damage. Thoughts on this upgrade here, Magic Shield?
Pretty fair. I like that it can be used for anyone. It's not just Wanda, so it's got some team play potential. And it's a little expensive compared to other like prevent 3 damage effects, but it does stay on the table and you can use it whenever you want. So that aspect of it is
Is
cool.
it more expensive? What are other ones that prevent 3?
I think of like Wiggle Room. That's prevent 3 and draw a card, and it's 0 cost. Spider-Man has backflip. That's just prevent everything, 0 cost.
Okay. So you're trading efficiency for the ability to bank it.
Yeah, and it works for any player.
Yeah, and it works for any player. And it actually works for any kind of damage, right? So this works against consequential damage too. I don't know like how.
Yeah, you could use it to keep an ally around a little bit longer even.
Yeah. So there's like some weird works against indirect damage because it's just damage.
You do have to be in hero form to get the effect though.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. I think it's got like, it's interesting. It like does things that are different than a lot of cards have done. Like it's breaking the mold a little bit and like
yeah. That I do see that too. There seems to be some theme, which is nice here. And then it just seems like this is not something we've seen before. So I like this card. Got Scarlet Witch's Crest. 2 cost upgrade when boost icons on an encounter card are counted. Exhaust Scarlet Witch's Crest. Increase or decrease the number of boost icons on that card by 1 for this count. Okay.
So this card's obviously good. It's at worst, it's pretty much prevent 1 damage or 1 thwart from the opponent's boost card. But it also interacts with their other cards that count boost icons, and we'll see those coming up.
Is this the kind of thing you play it? Like
I think so, yeah.
It has to go down.
Yeah, like I think ignoring the fact that there are going to be cards that like care about this, if there were even if there were 0 of them, and this card just said decrease a boost by 1, I think like you'd want to slam it whenever possible. So,
all right, so that's a windmill slam. She needs the crest. Draw it, play it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the events here. They seem to be in kind of awkward order, but we'll go with it. 2, 3, 0, 1. But we've got Hex Bolt here. Spell superpower. Hero action. Discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. For each card discarded this way that has boost icons equal to 0, deal 2 damage to an enemy. 1. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. 2. Draw a card. 3 plus. Place a status card on a character. Thoughts on the Hex Bolt?
So I think Hex Bolt's pretty great. You do have to discard 3 cards from the encounter deck, which is a little bit rough, depending on, it can get you to those acceleration tokens quicker. But this is her bread and butter card. There's 4 of it. And this is the main thing I was thinking of with the Crest, because it can help you pick the effect you want when you discard the cards.
This card's sweet. I don't even really know how to rate it right now. I just think it's really cool.
When you discard the top 3, do you have to reveal them one at a time, or can you technically discard 3 simultaneously, so then you can decide what you want to change with the crest? Or is it?
I think it is simultaneous.
Yeah, all at once.
Okay, so they all get revealed at once, boom, and then you can manipulate with the crest.
Yeah. So if you don't need to move threat, you can use the crest to draw a card instead, or whatever you need to do. It gets you there.
Obviously, like talking about specific combinations isn't that like relevant because there's a lot of them, but I think basically no matter which combination, you're going to be pretty happy with what's going on here. And
I mean, really, the only one of these effects that might do nothing is the remove threat if there's no threat around. In which case, maybe the crest can help you out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the crest will fix this, but even without the crest, I think for the most part, you're just.
I think like if you had like, you had to use all of your cards remaining in your hand, and you just got a 2 to draw 1 card, and you like weren't sure whether you were going to play that card, you could just go up, boost it up and then put through the status card. Like I can see the flexibility and the importance of having the crest down.
I think anytime you have a card that can draw more cards, you're incentivized to play it earlier in your turn to see what you may draw.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, you don't wait until you have 4 cards in your hand to play Nick Fury. You play him early to, like...
Yeah, unless you had 2 Hex Bolts in your hand or something like that. Like, second Hex Bolt. I don't know. I'm speaking in hypotheticals here, but I can see that this is a pretty playable card. And, I think we can continue on. We've got a 3-cost event here, Molecular Decay. There's 3 copies of this one for the Hex Bolt. And this is an attack for all the aggression players out there. It's a spell, hero action, deal 5 damage to an enemy and discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage to that enemy. There's no defense against the Scarlet Witch. Keep that in mind.
So you need to average 2 boosts on each of them to turn this into... No, 1.5 boosts to turn this into a swinging web kick. With the Crest, I think that's pretty easy. Even if it's not dealing 8, I think on like 7, 6, like...
It's the kind of thing that I think will depend on the scenario you're in, how strong this is. Like, certain scenarios have a lot of really high boost cards, and this will excel in those.
Again, cards like this, you're not really playing them the first half of the game. This is like how you're ending games.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it'll do a fine job at that. It's like
Yeah.
not exciting or anything. It's just when you need to act, or if like you get giant minions out. Then
See, I see this as like the high cost of it is good, again, for the card we're about to talk about. It's just another tool for that. So, speaking of which, I can't believe they printed this card. 0 cost event, Chaos Magic, spell superpower, hero action, play a card from your hand, ignoring its resource cost. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to that card's printed resource cost. I will shape the world as I see fit.
you will, Wanda. Yes, you will.
I mean, this is obviously the big exciting card of her kit. It's a one of, but it's clearly amazing. You know, play Nick Fury for free or whatever you're playing.
You're just playing Heimdall in her decks now, I think. Like 0 cost Heimdall. Well, yeah.
This might be so good that you actually want to like have like effects that kind of burn through your own deck faster and like get to this faster and stuff like that. Like draw mechanisms and maybe even like some like, because of how crazy this is, like even considering making sure that you're a 40 card deck with her, which...
Wait, are you saying she might be good with deck thinning?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blanket just like do deck thinning as my default strategy. We've talked about this a million times, but if there's a reason that you're doing it, then it makes sense to me. And I'm wondering if this is a good enough reason.
It is a good enough reason. You just have to also play a bunch of expensive cards because
you have a thin deck with a bunch of expensive cards.
That card when like you have nothing good in your hand.
You got anything else to add, Mcbober?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the card kind of speaks for itself.
It turns any card into a 1-cost card, right? Because you can basically treat this as treat it as this is a resource, like an infinite resource card. But yeah, I mean, a ton of her cards do discard cards from the encounter deck, so I guess you gotta think about that a little bit. With like, she is putting a timer on the game in a way that, like, to do anything, she needs to pump out acceleration tokens.
I can't believe this is a wild resource too. This thing is insane.
When are you ever playing this as a resource?
Yeah, I don't know. If you needed to get rid of a thing, but yeah. Get rid of an upgrade or I don't know. It's just just another reason why it's busted. This might be the first errata.
It's
I doubt it.
It's like absurd, but it's not like Yeah.
Send in your
It's
chaos magic, and we'll
it's
we'll
a
give you a
one
50
of.
cent FFG coupon. All right, so we've got one more event here in her
One
kit.
more comment on it. Like the amount of games that you're going to win when this is in your opening hand with like Avengers Mansion versus when it's not. I think it's going to make her very swingy and like how good.
I don't
I
think
mean,
you have
I
to
think
have it in your
kind of-
opener, but like
No,
yeah,
I didn't
like-
say have to. I think she's pretty good even without it. But
Yeah.
the difference that a game with it in your opener versus with like a mansion or something else big like that versus not, it'll be quite noticeable. Like,
yeah. We used to, when we played Destiny, I had the card Friends in High Places that if I started with that in my opener, it was pretty much GG. So, without any context for the viewer, but anyhow. Or, in Destiny we would call it, Delve Fist, 2-card combo. You get it, you win. It's like, that's what this is. With some other cards like this and Fury or something. You're just, okay, GG. So, Warp Reality. It's a hero interrupt. When the encounter card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel all of its effects and discard it. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So a true cancel. What do you guys think?
I always love cancels, and
so good.
this one's great.
Oh my god,
Is
it's
this
so
the
much
best
better.
cancel like in the game?
Yes, it's better. It's better than Doctor Strange's because it hits non-treacheries also.
Yeah, it can do anything. You do have to discard cards, which is a little bit of a downside, but being able to hit any card type is very good.
And it costs 1.
When you draw this, okay, let me ask you a question. When you draw this, and then it's the hero turn. I guess that's a dumb question. Never mind. Like, is there a reason where you would prioritize holding this? Like, let's say the villain didn't give you anything scary on that villain turn.
You might have just spent an alter ego as well.
Or an alter ego, like just holding this because it's so crazy. And in case you get like, some crazy encounter on the counter card in the next round. Like, is it that good?
Yeah, I think especially in a multiplayer game where there's going to be more encounter cards and almost certainly something good to cancel. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I would also just try to play it kind of regardless. Like if you have it in your hand during the villain phase, like you want to play it.
Yeah, probably.
You don't want to
yeah.
keep holding that card for turns on end. Like,
okay, so hero form, you probably just use it.
Encounter card is like.
Okay, so in hero form, when you draw this, you probably use it on one of the encounter cards, no matter what. And then,
unless they're just particularly not bad or for some reason, I don't know.
And then in alter ego, when you draw this and you flip to hero form that turn, you probably don't use this as a resource and hold it because it's that good.
Probably.
I think so. I mean, there aren't think of it as like a 1-cost card that does
gets rid of a whole side scheme or whatever. Yeah, like thwarts for 6.
The enemy, kills a minion, defeats a side scheme. Like there's just it's just like the sheer power of just being able to like completely stop encounter cards is any of them. Like it's what makes holding cancels sometimes not great, right? Because they usually cancel treacheries, and what if you don't draw treachery?
Right, exactly. I usually don't hold cancels, but this thing is kind of, to me, just seems so crazy that what it can do that you don't use this as a resource. Very few situations where you would do that. All right. So
I think I will say that I think it's on a similar power level to Grappling Hook because the fact that Black Widow gets to play the card down and then save it for when you want it, that's a huge upside. Now, that card costs 1 more and also only hits treacheries. So I do think this is better, but I think...
Yeah, I think this is one of the one of the cards that really stands out in my mind so far, and from what we've seen here, and as far as a power level, just raw power, and like what helps this character, be really, really strong and really, transcend maybe what you were expecting from the Scarlet Witch character. Just this card right here just really maximizes what she's trying to do. Okay, so we've got some her obligation. There's 2, so that's weird. But it says here, exhaust, remove, or you can discard top 5 of the encounter deck. For each star icon in the boost area discarded this way, place 1 threat on the main scheme. Discard this obligation. Thoughts on the slipping sanity and why there's 2? 3 pip.
To make her more balanced, I guess. There's why there's 2. I think it's weird. I think it's interesting. They're like making obligations a little more interesting. I'm still kind of tired of the fact that they all say the exact same thing on the first line, which is exhaust and remove it from the game. Which is like 90% of the time what you end up doing. So
Yeah, I think Hulk was the only one who's different.
Yeah. Hulk needed that, though, for balance reasons.
Yeah.
They need to make sure no one would ever play it. No, but like...
They have a certain templating that they do. It's just like, it's...
I love this. Like, the second half of these cards are... Actually, a lot of them are, like, really interesting. Like, this is actually really cool. Except it's never going to happen because you're always going to just pick the first half. So... Unless, of course, you're already exhausted somehow. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, I guess if you got 2 obligations, if you got both of them.
The reason to never play defense. You don't want to be exhausted on the villain turn.
It's not necessarily a downside, too, that there's 2 obligations, because, like, a bigger encounter deck is good for her because she's burning so many cards, and also a higher pip count is a good thing for most of her cards that count pips.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
good.
good.
Also
that's
true.
Good.
Are we not? We're not looking at the Nemesis, right?
We usually don't look at the Nemesis. We save that in case people don't want spoilers.
I want spoilers. I haven't seen it. I'll look at it later.
Good commentary coming in from Mcbober there on that. That makes a lot of sense. Like with the Hex Bolt, you want to see the 3 pips. So and there's 2 of them in there now to get the status icon, which is a pretty crazy effect.
Molecular like Decay as well does more damage if it gets the 3 pip.
Right.
All right, now
so we've
Justice
got
card.
Justice. Yeah, we've been playing with the speed. We've been kind of like dipping our, toes in the water on that one. And what's your guys' thoughts on him? He's got, he's a 4/4, 2 thwart, 1 attack, Avenger. After he thwarts, you can ready him.
I mean, we've been looking at him for a while. He's obviously great.
Yeah, he's the reverse of Quicksilver. I just think it's a lot better because you're thwarting.
Yeah, this guy is fantastic.
It's interesting that it's a response to ready on him, but it's an action on Quicksilver.
Huh. So what would be the difference in terms of the actual...
So you have to do it.
Theoretically, Quicksilver could thwart twice, even though he's worse at it. But Speed has to thwart once to get the ready. He can't attack twice.
Quicksilver also doesn't have to ready after he attacks.
Well, the response is optional as well. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, but you can decide later with Quicksilver. With Speed, you can't. You have to do it immediately after he thwarts. Right? So...
All right. The art looks pretty good.
Oh, and there's also one more difference, right? Because Quicksilver can do it once per phase. Speed can do it once per round. So you can technically attack.
Well, for Quicksilver, it's an action, so you can only do those during the hero phase anyway. It effectively is the same.
That's weird that they have that verbiage. Action and then phase. They're so weird with some of these. Like
I might have just been different people who designed them.
Yeah.
So, templating is often not super consistent in this game.
All right, so we got Wiccan here. A 2-cost, 3 health, 1/1 Avenger. After Wiccan thwarts, discard the top card of the encounter deck for each boost icon discarded this way. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. I'm the child of a witch and an android. I'm their wish come true.
So he's like half of the Scarlet Witch Hero from Quicksilver's set.
I think Wiccan is great.
Yeah, he costs 2. Doesn't really matter what the rest of the card says.
2 cost allies are great, and he's got 3 health. Like 2 cost 3 health is almost unheard of. It's very strong stats. And then he's got a decent ability. So what if he's a 1/1?
Yeah, he's gonna on average thwart 2-ish.
This guy's going an every Justice deck unless your buddy's also playing Justice.
Pretty much.
No, I'd still put him in even if everyone's playing Justice.
Yeah, even then. A 2 cost guy is cheap. You can block with him.
It's another deck. More auto includes. My favorite.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many auto includes. You're gonna have to get off your 40 a deck, limit. Crisis averted. 3 cost event thwart. Hero action. Remove 6 threat from the main scheme if you paid for this card using a mental resource. This card ignores the crisis icon.
I don't think this card.
I don't think this card is good enough. I think having to hit the main scheme only, and I feel like we've talked about this with another card in the past, but that is a extremely big restriction. And for only being 2 threat over like a for justice for 1 more cost, it's just not worth it.
All right. So that's a coaster if you need some kindling.
Oh, come! It's not like in the same coaster status as like some other cards. Like, where's that card that the villain attacks you? Oh, we're gonna see that later. Okay, see that one's coaster. Actually, I wouldn't even want to put my drinks on that card. Like, I remember it exists.
It is a 3 expensive card. So again, if you were trying to go, with that thin deck concept with the chaos magic with really expensive things, this may be something you'd consider for 20 seconds, but probably decide against it. That's
but
worth
it's not
it.
Not a permanent. So.
Maybe in a 4-player game, this would be more worth it because you're almost certain to have 6 threat on the main scheme. But it's just tough. It's so restrictive, and I don't think ignoring the crisis icon is that great to make up for all of the restrictions this has.
Okay, multitasking. 1 cost event thwart. Hero action. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. If you paid for this card using a mental resource, remove 2 threat from a different scheme.
I like that one.
The value is pretty good. I mean, pay 2, remove 4. Again, it's kind of like for justice, but I think
pay 1, remove 4.
Yeah.
Not pay 2, remove 4.
Right. Pay 1, remove 4.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of like when you flip the Hero form card, right?
It's very, very good.
The downside here is there has to be a side scheme in play for this to do anything. Otherwise, it's just remove 2 threat.
Yeah. But I think the upside is high enough that you're okay using this as a resource sometimes when there isn't no side scheme in play, and just have 1 cost thwart 4, which is a 4 justice, right?
So you need that mental. So there's 2, prerequisites to you getting the maximum effect out of this card. You have to have the mental resource, and there has to be a side scheme in play. So just something to consider. Just
I think it's pretty good if you're playing like a justice deck that wants to stay in hero form all the time. But if you're flipping back and forth, I'd probably just play the what's that one where you remove 4 when you flip?
It's
Late on the Law.
Isn't it 3? I thought it was 3.
No, Late on the Law is 4 if you spend a mental.
So if you were, so it just depends. You're saying if you're flipping all the time, you might as well just play Lay Down the Law instead of this card potentially.
I think so, but again, it's hero dependent for sure. Obviously, like Ant-Man's going to play Lay Down the Law because he's easy to satisfy that card.
Also, is Miles eating a bagel?
It looks like he is eating a bagel.
Okay.
He's multitasking. Saving a dog, he's eating a bagel, he's swinging around.
A hero isn't the one who always wins, they're the one who always tries. That's nice. Swift Retribution 1 cost event attack. Hero action. The villain schemes. Deal 4 damage to the villain.
Oh, I think this is the card.
This is obviously terrible.
What is going on here?
The only situation I could see where you might play this
I will disagree.
is if you have somehow your deck confuses the villain like rapidly, like twice in a round you're confusing the villain. So if you can get rid of the confuse with making him scheme. But even then, 4 damage is not that much.
Heal 4 isn't even like. It's also 4 to the villain, right? So we're not even talking about like clearing off minions. We're just like hitting the damage sponge, which we've also, I think, talked about, where it's like usually not what you're trying to do is zerg down the villain. You're just trying to stabilize, and then you can kill him however you please. Like, in what world is this? Well, I don't.
This should be 0 cost. Maybe I don't know.
This should.
If it was 0 cost, you wouldn't play it. So like this is terrible.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
If this was like 0 cost deal 8, okay. I still probably would.
A year from now, you're gonna say somebody mentioned Swift Retribution. I won't know what this card does. I will never see anybody ever play this card. So enjoy the art. Let's look at it right now. You know, it's got Moon Knight on it. You know, it's got the Jeep. Okay, we're never gonna see that card again. Great. Sounds good.
Wait, read the flavor text.
Okay, return what you've taken, and I'll let you go this time. But next time you won't be so lucky, and I won't be so kind. Turn the tide. 0 cost event. Attack. Response. After your hero thwarts or removes all threat from a scheme, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Thoughts on this card? Turn the tide.
I like this card a lot.
What do you like about it? Besides
0 cost, deal 3 to an enemy is a very strong effect. It is restrictive on the timing you can use it, but that's a good effect. And I think it really goes well with like what is it? Miss Marvel. This is a great Miss Marvel card. Because she can boost the damage to 5 with the Embiggen. She can bounce it back to her hand and play it again.
Yeah,
she makes good use of this.
This is absolutely insane.
I really thought this card could be used in Alter Ego because it doesn't say hero response, but then it says hero thwart. Can we just get someone to like sit down with who's making this and just go over all the keywords and make it more uniform?
It's just not going to happen. There's 2 different people that make the game, I think, and
it's more than 2.
Have they ever met each other? Like, like.
Okay, well, this is definitely a card that's you're going to want to consider using.
I love this game, and I think they're doing a great job. And just please, why doesn't this say hero response on it? It's just confusing. I put this in a deck that was like my Black Widow, like Alter Ego deck, and then just like realized in the middle of the game that you can't do that because hero thwarts.
All right.
Templating aside, it's a good card.
Cool. So we've got some basic cards here. Recuperation, heal damage, or it's a 2 cost Alter Ego action. Heal damage from your Alter Ego equal to your recovery. Thoughts on Recuperation?
I can't imagine this card ever being worth playing. I don't know a situation where you would want to play this card in any deck.
Okay. All right, let's get a good look at the art then if we're never going to see it again.
Still no.
You know, it's got some, is that Doctor Strange right there, looking kind of cool. You look to be feeling better, Stephen Strange. Perfect. All right, so enjoy Recuperation, the work they put in to make this card.
It's like,
and
it's not nearly as bad as the one we just talked about. So like,
sure, that's true.
So it's got that going for it.
If you have like 6 recovery, and you really don't ever actually want to use the recovery on your hero.
Hulk can get up to 6
I don't know.
recovery.
Yeah, no one's ever going to play this. So next card, Team Up, or sorry, Order and Chaos 1 cost events. Team Up, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch. We've seen this card before, so this is just, what, a reprint or something?
Yeah, it's just the same card that Quicksilver has. She has it too.
All right, so this is just...
It's a good card.
Yeah, this is going to go in your Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch decks.
Yep, any Quicksilver Scarlet Witch deck should be playing this card. That's a really good cancel.
Yep.
Not as good as the one she has, anyway. But
well, now she has 2. I mean, that's
she has 2.
It deals 2 damage to the villain, but yeah, it's only treacheries. But the 2 damage is pretty good.
If we're gonna
I
debate
ju-
by how good this one is compared to the other one, I mean, I'm very confident the other one's better by a large margin. But I do think this is a good card.
This is the first time I've seen Spiritual Meditation.
All right, spiritual meditation.
This is a woo card.
0 cost event spell.
This is
Play only if your
everyone's card.
identity has the mystic trait. Okay. Draw 2, choose and discard 1 card from your hand.
It's a cycle card. It's a deck thinner.
Yeah, you're playing this in every Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch deck. 3 of them.
I don't think I'd play this in Doctor Strange personally.
Why would you not play it in Doctor Strange?
It's card selection. It's just It's just no cost. It's the exact same ability as her hat, like, right? Except you actually get to see the cards before you discard.
It just depends if you're really digging for something specific. Like, you have cards you don't like, then sure, it's good. If you like every card in your deck, then it's not as good.
No, it's always good because you can always, if you have 6 cards and this is in your hand, even if the other 5 cards are good, you might as well look at what the next 2 cards are and then decide, right?
So,
like, you can always have a better setup if you have more information.
So Doctor Strange, his best cards are in his little side deck, and he doesn't have like a card in his kit that's like game breaking. Whereas,
what about the cards that literally say play a card from your side deck?
Yeah, that one's good.
He's got multiple of those.
It just depends if you want to burn through your deck faster or not.
You do this is now. You're playing this. You should. I stand by that. You should be playing 3 of these. It's just card selection. It's good. It's free.
Well, it does. It's card selection, but like it is also not an actual. It doesn't have an effect right then. I don't know. So it's like it's not.
What do you mean?
It represents itself.
It immediately does it, right? It's not a.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess
there's really no downside other than that you're just burning through your deck.
Yeah,
faster.
that's the only downside is that you are burning through your deck faster, but you're getting just pure card selection.
Okay,
and I think we're talking forget a Doctor Strange for a moment. When you're talking about a deck that has these 2 cards in it, you're gonna.
It's great for Wanda, yeah, because she is digging for a couple specific cards.
But Doctor Strange is too. He's got 2 copies of the card that lets him play the top card of his Invocation deck.
Yeah,
which is like basically what you're trying to hit every game, right?
I've never really disagreed with Mcbober. Like, it's really hard to actually think that he's wrong on stuff. I don't know. That is an art. That is a point I need to make. So.
That might be the kind of thing, we need to play with it more to really get a feel for it.
I don't know.
It's a good card.
I think it's more fundamental to the concept of the downside of cycling through your deck and receiving an extra encounter card, and the significance of that in the Marvel Champions community seems to be that is not really a problem. And I tend to disagree. So I think that's probably
it's
where
a downside, right? But I think the upside far outweighs that downside.
I just don't agree with that logic usually, unless there's really just like a Wakanda Forever situation, some crazy card that you have to get. In this case, I think the Scarlet Witch has that with the Chaos Magic and then the Warp Reality. So I think I would play 3 of this Spiritual Meditation in her deck in order to try to find those cards.
Yeah, I would too. I just don't think I'd play 3 of this with Doctor Strange.
Really? Okay, I'm pulling out Doctor Strange.
Master of the Mystic Arts is good.
It's not good. It's absurd.
Situationally, it's absurd. If you have the draw 3 on top of your Invocation deck, it's absurd.
What about the deal 7 stun your opponent, the enemy, for 1 cost?
No, it's really 3 costs at that point. Paying 3 to deal 7 is not the best value. It's fine.
I don't know.
But it's not like an incredible value to pay 3 to deal 7.
it also just lets you find your stuff early that you want to get into play, like your cloak, your eye.
You can't lose a logic off with Mcbober. Like I'm telling you, I've tried to warn you.
Nah, man, I completely disagree. I think this card is an auto include. I would play this card in every single deck if I could. But
Well, you're like the biggest proponent of deck thinning ever, so that's why I said this is a woo card.
Thinning. Forget the thinning. It's card selection. I play competitive Magic, I know, and like cards like this are just like banned in formats because of how absurd it is to like have access to see more cards.
In Magic, you don't have a. I'm not a Magic player, but you don't get punished. But you don't get punished for decking out, right? You just play a bigger deck.
You do. I mean, there's ways you can add puck cards back to your deck, but you lose the game if you run out of cards.
Now that doesn't happen very often, so I'm not saying like that. That's like
because you just include more cards in your deck in Magic.
No, everyone's playing with 60 cards, but
you could include more, but nobody does. Mill decks are a thing in Magic, but it's
not really.
It's not super common, and it depends on the current release and like what's good.
But yes, I can't say in Magic that discarding cards or like churning through your deck is downside because you don't really ever like come into situations where you're decking out unless you're specifically playing against a mill deck. But that's not a common situation. So yes, there's a bigger downside here.
This isn't Magic, so it's hard to make that analog, especially because like with the way lands work in Magic, fixing your hand is so much more important than it is in this game.
Yeah, but like you guys spent like minutes talking about how crazy it is that you can like look at the top 3 and pick one, and it's better than just drawing one. It's like
because they're not being discarded. If it was discard 3 and add 1 to your hand, that would be a lot worse.
I don't know. Do you think like Tony Stark's ability isn't great because it's putting them in the discard pile? I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a worse ability than Agatha's. Though Tony does have the Stark Tower to get things back out the discard pile, so there's a little bit of synergy there.
Oh.
All right. We could keep debating this, but I think we'll continue onwards.
Yeah, we'll continue onward.
Quite an interesting debate, and we'll see how it plays out. I think I already know the answer. I think this card is going to go in all of Woo's decks because it fits his playstyle.
Well, Mystic.
Yeah, any Mystic deck.
Any Mystic deck that's going in, and like Mcbober and I think are, just kind of seeing the downside of just going through your deck, and you just have to be cognizant of that. So. Does she already? I'm sorry, I was going to try to transition us, but does she already have effects that discard off of her own deck? Does she do that at all, or is that just the encounter deck?
I think it's just no, Agatha doesn't discard. She puts on the bottom.
Okay, so no. All right.
Only her superpowered siblings that discard cards from your deck.
Okay, so her alter ego action here
discards from your hand, but still discard.
Does discard? Okay, yeah, that's something to consider, is that you're already doing that effect. So
yeah, you've essentially she's got the effect of spiritual meditation like built in.
Well, spiritual meditation is a better version of this effect because it's I think it's significantly different to be able to draw the cards first and then discard versus having to discard the cards.
That's true. Yeah,
you get more information, but also like if you only have 1 card left in your hand, like there are situations where like I don't know, you draw spiritual meditation off of something closer to the end of your turn, and you can play it. Whereas with the alter ego ability, if you can't do it unless you have the requirement, which is 2 cards in your hand at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so we got bait and switch here. This is a protection card. It's a 1-cost event, thwart keyword, hero action. The villain attacks you, remove 4 threat from the main scheme. What do you guys think about this card?
I'm usually just not a fan of these type of effects. It's sort of like Swift Retribution. It's definitely better than Swift Retribution.
You're mentioning another card's name that I don't remember.
Swift Retribution is the...
Well, I'm not even going to hover back over to Swift Retribution. We're pretty much done talking about that card for the rest of our lives.
Well, we was just asking about it.
No, I was sorry. I was being sarcastic. I was saying I don't remember what that card is because I deleted it from my memory.
So of all of the effects of this type, I think Aggression has one too. I'm not super keen on. I think this is the best of all of them, especially because Protection sometimes can get bonuses from being attacked. But I still think, 99% of decks are not going to want to play this card.
If by 99% you mean 100%, I'd agree with you.
Yep, that seems like a going in the trash heap there. Let's continue onwards. We might as well look at the art and discuss flavor text because we're never going to see this
I like
again.
the art. I do like
The art's good. I don't think it fits the name of the card, but the art's good.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to match up there. Didn't really think I'd let you get away with that, did you, Spider-Man? Okay. Last Stand. It's a leadership card. We got a 0-cost tactic. What the heck is that? Is that Wonder Woman? She looks pretty weird.
I think this is supposed to be Lady Sif.
It's Marvel. How would it be Wonder Woman?
I don't. That's a good point. Dang it.
So the art on this card is hilarious. This is our what is his name? Brendan Everett. He's the same guy who's done some of the other hilarious card arts that we've pointed out, like the sad family from the Red Skull side scheme.
All the prison camps.
Yeah. This guy's great. That sword is like insanely massive for no reason. Her stance, the perspective is weird. I don't know why she looks like a zombie.
Is she sitting? I can't tell what's happening.
I think she's like squatting, bending over. It's very strange looking.
Up because she's fighting a giant.
Yes.
Yeah. Whose shadow you can see.
Well, when you attack, when an ally you control attacks, it gets +3 attack for that attack. After that attack resolves, discard that ally. Thoughts on the actual effect of the card?
I think it's pretty bad most of the time to lose your ally. It'd be good with like Goliath because he goes away anyways after he attacks. And another situation you might want to play this is if you had more than one of it. You could play 3 of this for the exact same attack and get +9 attack. That'd be pretty good.
I don't know. It's 0-cost deal 3 when you like what you boil it down to, right?
Yeah, but you have to lose the ally, and the way we play the game, typically we save the ally to defend. Yeah. So it's you really have to build around it.
Well, I just don't think you would play the card.
Yeah, I think most of the time you're not going to play this card. It's good with Goliath though. There's some synergy there.
Sure, like 0-cost deal 3. If that was all the card said, I'm not even sure that would be good.
You'd have to be some specific deck where you could get like 3 of this in your hand at the same time or something.
Would you play this card if all it said was deal 3 for 0?
Isn't that what this card does?
Yeah,
Turn the
there's that's basically what Turn the Tide is.
Okay,
yeah,
so you would play it if that's what it was.
Yes.
I'm looking at this card, and it's a leadership card, and leadership has so many amazing cards. Okay, guys, just take a look at the art. Like, read the quote. Like, heed, great friend, thou shalt not defeat me easily. Like, this is the last time you're gonna see this card.
I think that somebody will come up with some combo decks to use with Goliath or something. I don't think this card is a complete dead in the water.
When an ally you control attacks, it goes +3. Now it'd be cool if it like discarded at the end of the turn so that you could like ready and use it again or something. But no.
That would be.
Oh, what about this? Good. I broke it. You have rapid response and Nick Fury in play.
There you go. You could use that
trigger to Nick Fury on your own turn a second time with this, because Nick Fury would attack, die. Oh wait, no, he discards. He doesn't. What does rapid response say again?
I think it's just when they go to your discard pile. I don't think they have to die.
I think they have to be defeated. So it might.
Yeah, it is defeated. You're right.
I lied. I unbroke it.
Can't even rapid response it.
All right, never mind. Back to the trash heap.
Yeah, we got some kindling from the set for sure.
Tried to break it. I tried really hard.
It looks like this is the last card we're going to be talking about here. This is Browbeat, a 2-cost aggression event attack. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait hero action. Deal 2 damage to the villain. Deal X additional damage to the villain to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. Thoughts on Browbeat?
So best case scenario, this is pay 2 to deal 5 to the villain. I don't think that's very good. Pay 2 to deal 5 is pretty standard. Villain only is a pretty big restriction. You got to be an Avenger, and you have to be in the last stage of the game to get that 5 damage. That's too much. Too much for too little.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's there are so many cards in here that are unplayable, guys.
I still think this set's fantastic overall.
It's like you get this, like this already in another set, so we don't even count that. This is
I think the allies are great. Turn the Tide's pretty great.
I think these 5 cards.
Multitasking is playable. I don't love it, but it's playable.
These are like maybe playable. These are like
the best card here. I like.
Yeah, right.
It's very. I mean, obviously you can only use it for 2 characters in the game right now, so that does make it a little rough.
But like that's okay. Let's not continue the debate that we had for 20 minutes. But I mean, 5 like. Yeah, half of the cards completely like see you guys later. Like
yeah, you're buying this pack for Scarlet Witch. You're not buying it for the aspect cards.
Yeah, but she's fantastic. At least I haven't played with it yet, but I want to.
Yeah, she's fun.
Well. Any closing thoughts on the Scarlet Witch hero?
I think it's thematic. I think it's fun. It seems decently powerful. I like it. Good pack.
Yeah, no, I think, like, at first glance without playing it, this looks like one of the cool, like, the last time I was, like, this hyped about after just, like, reading without playing was when Mcbober came out. I thought that pack was also just, like, fantastically done. These cards just look kind of like they're interesting, they're different. It's like new things going on, and then you've also got these like slam dunk cards, the chaos magic and warp reality that you can just try to like abuse with this card and other draw effects, and just try to. The more times you play Chaos Magic in a game, the more likely you are to win. So, the more times you draw it, I think, is going to be good.
Sweet. All right, guys. So I think we're going to end it there. Definitely tune in. We're going to keep the weekly Friday live stream going. I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus. Woo's going to be filling in from time to time if he can on that. So definitely tune in on Friday nights to our live stream. 7 p.m. Pacific time. We play a lot of custom content on there, and it's usually a good time. So definitely check that out. And if you made it this far, you're my hero.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
You got some witty goodbye there, Woo?
Oh, no, witty. Just play spiritual meditation.
Okay. See you guys.